Everyone, Nancy Morris here with another edition of the Morris Code. We're doing Facebook Live today. It's Monday, March 12th. I had to look at my little thing down here because I forgot the date. I want to share with you today some of the truths and myths about time. Say that 10 times. I run across people all the time who are wanting to know new ways that they can get things done and stay organized at work. So they're always about time management. How can I manage my time better? How can I, get things done in less time? All these sorts of things related to time management. So I've run across this all of my career, even in the career I had before the one I've got now. So when I was managing my team of admin support people, it was always about how do we use time? How do we get more time? I need more time, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things I've come to understand as I studied psychology, business psychology in particular, over the last few years is that it's not about time. It's not about time at all. Time is a constant. Time is never changing. So it's not about time. So that's why I wrote the book, or part of the reason why I wrote the book, Procrastinate Now, Rethinking Time Management. And in particular, I want to pay attention to that bottom line today, the idea of rethinking time management. In organizational psychology and some of the other work-related behavioral sciences, they do a lot of research about the work that's on people's desks, how that work is impacting the people, how the people impact the work, etc. In parts of those studies, what they're also looking at is the amount of work that's actually sitting on somebody's desk. One research paper that I read quite a while ago suggests that at any one time, there's probably 59 hours worth of work sitting on your desk. That means if somebody comes in and totals up everything that you've got to do, the proposals, the documents, the phone calls, the emails, and all of that sort of stuff, all the tasks and everything you need to get done in order to do your work well, it's going to take about 59 hours of your time. And that's what you'll find when you walk in the office in the morning, is about 59 hours worth of work. Then you're going to slog yourself out for 8, 10, 12 hours even, and there's still going to be 59 hours worth of work on your desk. Now, I'm really sorry about that statistic, but it does put in front of our faces a really important piece of information, and that's this. It doesn't matter what you do. You're never going to get it all done. Maybe the guy down the hall looks like he has it all done, but he really doesn't. He just knows where to hide stuff better than you do. The other thing that it points out is that you can't actually manage the time, because there's only so much you can do in the same time period that I have. Your minute is the same length as my minute. They are exactly the same. Externally, they are exactly the same. So what that means is that you need to look at it differently up here. You need to rethink time management. You need to make different choices with the time that you have. Rather than trying to manage the time, you need to manage the choices. That's a really important thing to understand about time, is that it doesn't matter what you do. It matters more what you think and what you choose. So if you've picked up a copy of my book, that's great. You'll know that in this book, the main pieces about procrastination are the first 18 pages or so, but the last 107 pages are the scripts from my Morris Code 1-minute audio program, all related to the notions of time management. In other words, how to rethink time management, how to make new choices with the time that you have. You can get a copy of that book as a free download from my website at NancyMorris.com. You'll see a big picture of the book right on the front of the web page at NancyMorris.com. So go and download that book. Not only will you learn about procrastination, which is another myth that's out there, the idea that procrastination is a bad thing is a complete myth. So do feel free to go and download that from my website. But also, as I say in the back of the book, you'll find those 107 pages of 1-minute scripts related to how to rethink time management. because that's all you can do. Time is the great leveler. It is one of the great levelers, and it is the thing that, as I said before, is a constant outside of you. Your 1 minute is the same as my 1 minute. What is the difference is perhaps the choice I've made about using that 1 minute. Let me give you an example. A few postings ago, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, on my Facebook Live, I shared with you how I prioritize things. Well, actually how I take my priorities and I turn them into a list of just 3 things. I don't like long lists. Most people don't like long lists. It sort of turns the brain off. We feel a little disappointed when we're looking at a great big long list. We all have them. We all have long lists. But my list that I actually work with at any one time only has 3 things on it. And those are the 3 things I'm going to stay focused on this hour, this morning, this day, whatever I need it to be. And then I do those 3 things, and then I throw at that piece of paper and I take out my longer list and I take another 3 things off the list. So that's one of the ways that I rethink the choices that I make with the time that I have. Some people would say that's a time management technique. Sure, go ahead and say that if you wish. What I know that does for me, though, is it changes my brain. It changes how I'm thinking about it because the list is short, and so I feel motivated. I've changed my choices about how I'm going to use that time. Another question I get asked a lot is, how do I prioritize my schedule? Well, you don't. You don't prioritize your schedule. What you need to do is prioritize your goals. So figure out what your goals are and then write those into your schedule. In pen, on the computer, whatever it is, just write them into the schedule so that they are the number 1 things that you do. And then everything else fits in around that. What you want to focus on every day are your priorities, not just tasks. Tasks, Lord, I can come up with tasks till the cows come home, seriously. So it's about your priorities. What are your goals? If you're not sure, you're going to run into a problem, because when you create good goals, what you're also going to do is create a good plan for achieving those goals. And without a strong plan, you will get easily distracted. So remember that. Without a strong plan, you will get easily distracted. If you find yourself sort of reaching over here because it looks more interesting than over there, if you're not sure what to do next, it's because you don't have a strong plan. Now, that's a fixable problem. It's a very fixable problem and can do it in 1 page. So that's all doable. But without that strong plan, you're going to get easily distracted. Those are just a couple of things that I do. So I focus on 3 things at a time, and I make sure that my day is based on my goals, not on a list of tasks that I need to get done. Now, again, I've said this before, you know, some people say to me, oh, Nancy, that's great for you. You're self-employed. You have complete control over your schedule. No, I don't. I have clients. So while I am self-employed, I don't just sit around. I mean, I've got clients and promises I've made for those clients. So I also have to be very careful about those choices. I don't just get to, you know, put my feet up and do nothing. I have work that I need to do and things that I need to achieve. And everything I'm doing during the course of the day is really about my priorities based on my goals. And those are the top things. And everything else fits in around that. It's about the choices I need to make to fit those things in. So again, it's not about managing time. You can't manage time. You can only manage the choices that you make with that time. And what I always want to do for myself and my clients and the people that I share this information with in presentations, et cetera, is help them to understand the simple turns, the simple different choices that you can make to make your day that much easier, to put a little zip back in your day rather than looking at this great big long task list, which is so depressing for most people. And reminding people that at any one time you have at least 59 hours. And I say at least because some research I've looked at, it's closer to 200, depending on the job and all that sort of stuff. It's closer to 200 hours worth of work on your desk. What are you going to do with that? You're not going to get it all done. So make different choices. What I really want for people to do is to leave the day feeling accomplished, feeling like they got something important done. And when you're focused your priorities on your goals and you're just focusing on a small number of things at the same time, just those 2 things. Just implement those 2 things, and it will make a significant difference in how you use your time. Again, go to my website, NancyMorris.com. You can download a free copy of this book. If you want to go to Amazon and pay for it too, all the better. That's no problem. But do feel free to get the free downloadable copy. I'm very proud of that book, and the feedback that I'm getting from people is pretty amazing. When they understand what procrastination really is, that it's a fantastic thing and that you can use it to actually get more stuff done. People are like, what? And then they read the first 18 pages of the book and totally understand it. So just go ahead and download a free copy of that. Now, I don't know if there's anybody who has a question or anything, but I know for myself today, I'm kind of tired. In North America, we change the clocks on the weekend. I don't know about you, but I'll tell you, I always feel so tired on the Monday. And I was thinking to myself this morning, that would make a good conversation then to revisit the notion of time. People are constantly fighting against time, what they think they don't have much of. We all have the same amount of time. It really matters how we use it. And I know you've probably heard that before, but it really does. And when it boils down to how we use it, what has to happen before we take those actions to use the time is we have to think about something. And that's where the new choices and decisions come in for how you're going to use time. So remember that. It's not about time. It's about the choices that I make on how I'm going to use the time. Just doing that will likely make you feel a whole lot better, because it essentially empowers you. It gives you power over that time, because it's about your choices, and you can make new choices anytime you like. Anyway, love the mini list. That's great. Yeah, I learned that a long time ago when I was working in law firms, and it's just this never-ending bit of task coming in from the lawyers and stuff. They always have new things they want done. And it was more and more deflating as the day went on. So I learned how to take just 3 things off and plunk them down on another list. I hid the master list away and I plugged them down. I said, okay, in an hour, I'm going to work on these things for an hour, cross them off, or I personally erase them. I'm going for that blank page. And personal anxieties, yes, it is linked to list anxiety for sure, because when we're stressed, this brings up another good point about it. With stress comes when perceived demand exceeds perceived ability to cope. So I'll say that again, because people often ask me to say it again. Stress occurs when perceived demand exceeds perceived ability to cope. And you'll notice the word I used twice there is perceived. And when you're looking at a really long list, we perceive that there's a lot of things on that list. Plus, we wonder if we can cope with it. So making a shorter list changes the perceptions a little bit. And again, what I'm always after is, how can we change what's going on up here so we can deal better with the stuff that's going on out here? And these little mind tricks, these little things that we can do, that the brain kind of goes, oh, okay, 3 things. I can do 3 things in an hour. Again, it changes our interaction with the whole thing. So reduces the anxiety, reduces that feeling of stress. Because of course, what we're going to do if we're feeling particularly stressed about the list is we're going to put the list down and go find something else. That's, you wander off out of your office and down the hallway, or you stay on that phone call a little bit longer because it avoids the list, right? So a great way to do that is to focus on a much tinier list. And remember, figure out your goals if you haven't got your goals figured out. And they don't have to be huge, massive 20-year goals. It can be goals this week. And I'm talking about performance goals. Performance goals being the things that are within your control. I can't control how many clients are going to hire me. I can't control how many people I'm going to meet at a networking event. And people will sort of push back on that one and say, yes, you can control that. No, you can't. Because if somebody sees you coming, they could turn and run the other way. But generally speaking, a performance goal is the type of goals that you can have complete control over. If the thing that you're currently defining as a goal has anything to do with another person, the decision-making processes of another person, whether or not that person is doing a type of work for you, so they do a piece of work and then they pass it to you, you can't control that. So it cannot be a goal. It can be a desired outcome. It can be the thing that you want, but it can't be a goal. I always want people to focus on the stuff they can control. Of course, I still want those clients. I have the number 5 up on my wall for the number of corporate clients I'd like every month, for sure. That's my want, but I can't control it. What I can control is the number of times I pick up the phone, the number of meetings I go to. I may have a desired outcome of speaking to, 5 new people, but I can get myself to the meeting and I can start to move around and meet new people, or at least approach new people. These sorts of activities, when I do them consistently, will contribute to that desired outcome of 5 new clients. As long as I'm doing my performance goals, I'm 100% successful. And I never want to have my measure of success dependent upon the decisions of other people. So I stay very focused on my performance goals. That makes that number 5 more likely to occur. But even if I only get 3 this month, I've been successful if I'm doing my performance goals. If I'm not doing my performance goals, it gives me something to look at. It gives me a new system to create. It gives me something else to pay attention to. So that's why I'm talking about performance goals. And again, that even relates to time when I'm thinking about it now. When you're focused on performance goals, you're actually more likely to be motivated to make the newer choices and decisions about your time, how you're going to what it is that you're going to do. And that's really important. When you're focused on things that you can't control, these desired outcomes, your brain kind of knows it. And it's like, nah, I can't do that, so I won't even bother. So you don't pay it, you get distracted again. You start wandering off down the hall. Whereas when you're focused on performance goals, you're much more likely to stay attentive to and work on the stuff that you can. You're much more likely to make choices that are going to help you move towards those priorities. So again, focus yourself on your performance goals, the things that you can control, and then focus on 3 things at a time. That's the number that I really like, that my brain likes the number 3. We don't really like much more than that, to be honest with you. So stick with the number 3 for now and see how that works for you. So I see a couple of questions coming in. So I like the distinction between goals. Yes, exactly. It's, do I have a published blog? Yep, I certainly do. If you go to my website, NancyMorris.com, and in the search bar, use performance goals, you'll see it there. And there's be a whole string of them as well on performance goals. I think on my YouTube channel, I've got a couple of videos on it as well. The key thing to remember about performance goals is look at something that you think is a goal and then say to yourself, does anybody else have any input in this at all? And if they do, then it's not a goal. It's a desired outcome. It's something that you want. The performance goal is the thing that is entirely within your control. That's what is the primary distinction between the 2 things. From your want, from your desired outcome, you come up with performance goals for sure, but focus only on those performance goals. As I said, my measure of success has nothing to do with those desired outcomes. It has nothing to do with how much money I make, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things are desired outcomes. They're not goals. I can't say that my goal is to earn $100,000, in this year or whatever. I can't make that because I don't decide where that money is coming from. It's my clients. It's the people who hire me. It's the event planners who bring me in to speak at presentations. They're the ones that make the ultimate decision. However, it is within my control to, as I say, make those phone calls, create the marketing material, do this Facebook Live. That's within my control. I can't control how many people show up, but I can control whether or not I'm here doing it. Well, I suppose Facebook has some control in that too. Okay, I can put myself in front of the camera, and then I guess it's up to Facebook. But again, focus on performance goals. What it does to the brain when you're focused on performance goals is it cranks up your motivation no end. Because if you're looking at something that you can't control, in the back of your brain, which really does understand all of these differences, is going, yeah, I can't do that. It's not going to work. So you put your hands up and you walk away. However, when you focus on goals, it really makes a difference, and it really impacts the choices and decisions that you make for the time that you have. If anybody else has any other questions, I gotta go. So I really appreciate your spending your time with me today. And do feel free to leave a question in the comment box, because I will come back to this later and answer any questions that are there. I use the questions that people ask me on Facebook and on LinkedIn and through email for the Dear Nancy videos that I produce on Thursdays. So do feel free to leave me a question or even make a comment. I'm open to any sort of comment. If you have something you want to tell me about how I can make these better or anything like that, do feel free to let me know that too. Anyway, take good care. Talk to you soon. Bye.